I will soon, which will be great. Something else I'm grateful for, Dave, having help with Heidi. But I did, before I start, I wanted to just thank you guys for being able to hear what you guys just said, because that was amazing. Just to hear the positivity and to get to know you guys a little bit more was really cool, since we don't typically hear that side. So thank you. I'm really grateful for being a part of that and hearing that.
Well, as soon as we got to the second person after I heard you, I went, I need to start inviting an ops person to one of these calls every week.
It's
So
pretty
we're going to
cool.
start doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it means a lot to me, and I'm sure it will to the rest of the team too. So yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks. All right, so condos and attached PUDs and master insurance. We all know that our biggest pain point is the deductible when it exceeds 5%. We have not had the ability to move past that when we had a deductible past over 5% in the past, until Chris's recent loan with Laredo, which actually has been purchased, Dave, just so you know. Fannie and Freddie do have an exception when any deductible, because it doesn't matter what deductible it is, if it's over 5%, the exception is if the agent can confirm that the deductible is per occurrence per unit, and that the named peril, or whatever the deductible is for, like wind and hail, is specific to the state or that geographical area. So for example, on Chris's loan for Laredo, the wind and hail deductible was over 5%, it was 10%. So the agent did provide in writing saying that yes, it is specific to Colorado. Colorado does have a peril, a named peril for wind and hail. And you can also go onto FEMA site, and Chris was able to pull a map of the United States for wind and hail, and it did show that Colorado was part of that. So we were able to document that in the file, and the agent also confirmed that it was per occurrence and per unit. So if you can confirm that with the master insurance agent, then all the borrower has to do is have additional loss assessment coverage added to the HO6 policy. And there's a calculation in Freddie's guides that tell you how to determine what that additional coverage needs to be. So I can send you guys all links to the exact guidelines, and so that you have it all, but there is the possibility to make it happen still. We've had it work on 1 out of 2 loans we've tried it on. Fortunately, we couldn't on G. Sorry, G.
What was it? What was it about Giuseppe's that didn't work?
It was not a per occurrence per unit. The agent could not confirm that part. We could confirm it was specific to the area for Colorado, but not that it was per unit per deductible. It was a little different in that case, and it was an attached PUD, so just slightly different. It
wasn't even a condo, was it?
Right, it was an attached PUD, because there's still master insurance for those. And what's unfortunate on this one is it was the clubhouse and pool. It didn't even have anything to do with the main master insurance. So sometimes what we found out on that loan is that there could be more than one master insurance policy on a project. So that kind of bit us on that one.
So Kelly, on the per unit per occurrence, is it just then they don't have like a per unit? It's just like, here is the deductible for the entire complex rather than per unit, or like what would be the other thing that they have if it's not per unit?
Well, so and just so you know how this one worked, how we got it through, what the agent explained is that they divided the wind and hail deductible by each unit. So because that's how they made it by unit. And then the unit owner then goes and gets the additional coverage added to their HO6. So instead of it being by the entire project, which is what happened on G's file, they did say that with this particular case, they will take it and divide it by the number of units, and that's how they do it.
Okay, it's great.
Or if that's just more complicated because it's an attached PUD instead of a condo.
Yeah, and that could be why, because it was an attached PUD, because Chris's was a condo.
Yeah.
So
what other questions do you guys have, or what else do you want to understand about this? Because I'm not doing these. You guys are looking at them all the time.
I think it would be helpful just whenever you get one of these, because I feel like, I mean, half the condos I've worked on in the last year end up with something like that. You know, they've raised these deductibles, right? Because the insurance is getting expensive just for like maybe brand new LOs that haven't really thought about why the insurance is getting so expensive that the HOAs have two choices, either like double their HOAs, and we've seen some condos, right, that are like normal price condos, but have a $600 HOA, or they increase these deductibles and not piss off all their owners. But then now there's issues when they go to, get financing. So there isn't like a better answer until Fannie and Freddie say, okay, 10% is fine. I mean, maybe even more than half the condos I feel like have gone to 10% deductible. So I think it would be helpful when you get these to like maybe share with the LOs, Zenith Sales, like, hey, we got another one and here's why it worked. I know it's going to take some time, but I think this will help us
Yeah.
see some case studies, and we're like, okay, now I get it, because I still am like, okay. So, and when she says agent, just it's insurance agent, it's not the realtor, because
Right.
the realtor
Sorry,
won't write
insurance
anything.
agent. True.
Just seeing those for me over and over would get my confidence level and knowledge on these up, so that then I can start saving some deals for other realtors, right? I'm like, oh, maybe there is a way. Let's see. Oh, no, we can't because of this. Or yes, we can because of this. I think that would be helpful for all of us, for me, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Yeah.
Turns out Arsenault was actually he wasn't doing any portfolio products. He was just doing Fannie and Freddie and laughing at us.
I just got a text from him yesterday from this one. He's like, we're clear to close, closing on Friday.
Yeah.
Of course you are. Ah.
Oh man, please for helping the client.
Yeah.
I mean, when I talked to that insurance agent, he's like, yeah, just with insurance costs, like everyone's going this way. So
Yeah.
hopefully Fannie and Freddie can get around to it. I mean, what I would I would warn your clients about this stuff ahead of time. If they're thinking condo townhome, there's massive risks. If you try to sell your property down the road, whenever you buy a condo or townhome, like these guidelines change, and like some people just can't sell a property or refi because they're stuck because they can't get financing, or they get a financing at 8.5%, or they have to do a portfolio loan with 10% down or whatever, right? I know you can't like deter them from buying a condo townhome, but you can try.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big issue going forward. It's not going to get better. These fires in California just made it worse. So insurance is going to continue to be a thorn in the industry side, but it's a housing issue. It's a national housing issue. So Fannie and Freddie are going to have to figure out a way to deal with it. And instead of sending $50 billion to other countries, we probably should take care of our own at the same time, like make sure that we're focused on that as well. So Mike, you got anything to add on condos?
Nope.
Okay. Kelly, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. We're going to bring you back for this more often. And
Awesome.
Anything that you can share. We want, one of the focuses going forward in 2025 is going to be how do we originate defect-free loans, and that never have a post-closing step, never have any kind of post-closing issue, sail through the system. We're studying everything that we can study and learn about how to automate as many of the processes as possible so that we can take the human factor out of it, because there's just a million things to remember doing a mortgage, and we're all human. And it's like, but we have technology, and if we're not leveraging the technology, we're being stupid. So we're looking forward to that. Thanks, Kelly. We'll let you go. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Do you want me to show my leads dashboard? Let me show the leads dashboard. And Mike, you can start talking about these deals. So if you're looking at your, oops, I didn't want to do that. Just trying to move this out of the way. Let's go to this sales dashboard. You guys should all have this sales dashboard in your dashboard's drop-down menu. And your sales dashboard, did I refresh this morning? Your sales dashboard should be unique to you. I'm looking at the whole company's data. So I'm seeing 22 leads this week, 54 this month, but you should see your count. If you're not, and this is where you can help me and help us get this dialed in a little bit more, because all that is tweaking data, right? It's tweaking reporting. It's tweaking how things are being counted. And so This has got your big stuff. This has got the big items, leads for the week, the month, and the year, discovery calls for the week, the month, and the year, credit pulls for the week, the month, and the year, your current total number of pre-approvals. And this is where Ashley's been asking you guys to go through and check your pre-approval loans versus your pre-approval contacts, because there's a difference there. The number for the week and the month and the year. We have apps locked for the week, for the month, the year, and then this bottom part is still like it's still clunky for me. I'm wanting to see a projected closing. I want to see, and you should be able to see a unit and a volume count for your projected closings right there. But that's what's going to be on that sales dashboard. Do you have any questions about that one? So let's go to the leads dashboard. And what I was trying to accomplish was getting granular on the leads. And if you click on dashboards, you just go over to this left menu over here and you can find all dashboards. And what you're looking for is lead dashboards 1 and 2. And this isn't, none of these are, I designed these dashboards back last summer when I thought we were going to want to, I knew what I was wanting to get access to. So if there's a better idea about this, I'm open to it. Let me refresh this. And the leads dashboard gets just granular, and it should match the total leads for the week and the month and the year should match what we're seeing. But then it gets granular. Past client repeat, past client referral leads, and current client referral leads. That Loom video I sent out this past week, current client referral leads is any lead that refers you, that introduces you to somebody, any pre-approved client, or any client that's in process. All 3 of those, because that's going to be a really strong measure. And this is what you guys are talking about this year, is focusing on leveraging the current relationships for more opportunities. That's why I think this is a really critical thing for us to count. Leads dashboard 2 is designed pretty much the same way, where at the top of it, let me refresh, sorry. At the top, it's got the totals so that you can always see the totals at the top. And then it's the more traditional lead sources, the realtor leads, financial advisors, accountants, CPAs, and then other. Everything else that isn't in one of those other buckets that we've mentioned is going to fall into the other bucket. So that's how that was designed. So keep an eye on it. You guys are going to be the ones that, I'm going to stop sharing. You guys are going to be the ones that help us design this for as much efficiency and value as possible, knowing your numbers and being this dialed in. Because this business it's easy to figure out where people need help. It's either you're not getting enough leads, or you're not converting enough of the leads that you're getting, and you're not leveraging the leads that you're getting for more leads, right? Like that's the other opportunity that we're focused on, which is why, we have Mike helping us focus on those things this week. Does that help?
I was
Right
just
on.
going to say, I don't see leads dashboard 2 on my dropdown, just 1.
If it's not in your drop down, just click on that dashboards button and then go to all dashboards. And then you should see it in the whole menu.
Okay. Yeah.
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 Okay. Did I send out, I can't remember, did I send out the video to click the box on a past client repeat? Did I send that to everybody, or did I just send that to you, Giuseppe? Did I send it to everybody?
Yeah. I have
Okay.
a question on that. So if it is the repeat, you click the repeat client,
Just click the repeat client button, and it's supposed to, and again, this is where I need your help. Tell me if it's not working. If you click that repeat client button, it should update the lead count, and it should update the, for the total leads, and it should update the past client referral bucket.
but they would already be in Salesforce.
They would.
Okay.
They
Mine's
would.
grayed out right now, but maybe it's because it's already in a stage. Let me look really quick. Sorry.
You might have to
The only
find
question on how to track that.
Okay. Well, like I said, let us know if it's not doing what we need it to do. We'll get it. We'll get it there. We've made a lot of progress on this, and Veronica's great to work with.
I can show you what it looks like if you
Go
want.
ahead.
So this is my leads last 7 days. And so, everything's pulling in here, but then there's this second subcategory that are all repeat clients. So basically when they were created, which of course was the import into Jungo, but then they were repeat client. I checked the box essentially on these days. So, and I
Go
don't
to your
know.
leads dashboard. Well, I don't know if it was working then, but go to your leads dashboard 1. Let's just see if it was counting in there.
Yeah, this one, when I clicked on it, it was 7. So I like 8 better. So I'm going with that dashboard, but
So go down to past client repeat. So you had 2. It looks like there's 2.
yeah,
And you had 3 for the month.
yeah.
Right on.
Yeah,
And that was
I
the
can
first.
click it. You just have to click the little marker, and then you can click the button.
And this has been a huge issue since I've been doing CRMs of how to count that, because it's so hard to track, because there's no way. But Veronica made it like, oh, I know what I can do. She'll just click the button, and then it's a date field. And so we'll use it. So the date will track. And then if you do it again in a couple, 3 years, it'll track it again. So right on. Okay, cool. Mike, go ahead.
Cool. I want to start with Giuseppe, you were sharing, RG's kind of podcast, and I think he's really right. We have lost our identity, and Ryan has always had some amazing scripting. I think as part of losing our identity, one of the things that, and I haven't listened to it, but RG often misses is who you are. And I know I've been talking to a lot of you about that too. Who are you? Why you? And it's not just simply, oh, yes, I am a badass originator, but it's why me? Why is this relationship connecting? And so don't forget that part as well to tie into that scripting, is to remembering who you are. And it's kind of funny. What I want to talk about today is framing what we want and how we go about getting what it is that we truly want. And for those that have kids, like, it's funny because they start out and they ask for things at the most inappropriate, crazy times, right? But over a period of time, and you'll find as your kids get older and older, they become masters at figuring out, it's like, oh, this is a good time to ask, right? You are just proud of them for some, congratulate, like, oh, now I can get something. And then they start to negotiate. It's like, if I do this, can I get that? And they become masters. And somehow in the adult space, we forget this, right? And we just go back to the very beginning and we get into this sales routine of asking at the most inappropriate times in the wrong way and everything else. And I want us to remember, when we go into any type of meeting, what is our primary objective? What's our secondary objective? What's our tertiary objective, right? And if I can't get one, can I get 2, or can I get number 3, or what can I get? And how is it that I go about framing? And Dean, I was hoping you would be willing to share with us. So Dean talked to me and he was going about this. We were going to have a course on social media for realtors. And I said, so Dean, what are you going to say? What do you want out of this? Right? How do we make it so that it's something different than you just went and put on this great presentation and everybody was entertained and they went off and they took that data and that information, that learning, and just applied it to their loan officer, right? How do you change that narrative around? So Dean, I was just hoping you could maybe share a couple of minutes about what your experience was, how you framed that conversation after our talk, and what the results were.
So, yeah, thanks, Mike. Actually, that was going to be my gratitude today, I was going to be thankful for you for giving me this advice. So yeah, I had a social media workshop, and typically I've done this before, and typically I've done it in a way that it's just a way to get in front of realtors and make a connection, and hopefully I get a meeting afterwards, and maybe we can build a relationship and that type of thing. And this time I set it up as part of the reason we're doing this is I want to help you grow your database. I want to help you reach more people. And so you're going to get some great stuff about social media, but I'm going to want to meet with you afterwards so we can put a plan in place so I can take every person you introduce me to and make it 3 people, right? And so as I set up that conversation and then sent out the information afterwards, every one of them knows that I'm setting a meeting with them. And so half the realtors I already have meetings set with, and the other half I'm following up today to get a time actually scheduled.
How did you do it? Did you just at the beginning of the meeting? What did you
So
say?
at the very beginning of the meeting, we're doing introduction stuff like that. And I said, if I was a genie and I could grant you one wish, what would that one wish be as a realtor? And some said lower rates. Some said I'd like nicer clients. Some said, different things. Nobody said they wanted more business, which shocked me. And so when I said, well, what if I could expand your database 3 times the size that it is now, and you had more people you could talk to about buying a home or selling a home, would that be a good wish? And they all were like, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a better wish than what I had. Yeah, I would go with that one. And so, so it tied in really well with, the purpose
Wait,
of.
well, so what was the follow-up? So then, okay, so then what? What
so
did
the-
you say
so
when
the
they all
follow-
said that?
So the follow-up was, you probably have lenders you're working with, and you're doing things day to day, and that's working in your business. I want to help you work on your business. I want to help expand your business, right? I want to help bring you business you don't have today. And part of that's going to be when I get somebody from you, I'm going to bring 2 more people back to you, because I'm going to ask for referrals and I'm going to ask for more business. And so, yeah, they were very excited about it. I actually, 2 of the realtors set meetings with me at the workshop, said, hey, can we meet for lunch next week? Can we meet, whatever. And so that was kind of how I set it up. And even the email I sent out to them had that same message as a follow-up, but it transformed the intentionality of that meeting. Like, it wasn't, hey, I'm presenting this and keep me in mind if you have somebody that needs help with a loan, right? Like,
Because you've done several of these, right? And
this was the 3rd time I've done the social media one. And I've done, a couple other CE classes, but they've always been with the intent of just getting to meet realtors. And it's never been about sending the message of, it was just a different message. And in fact, the feedback from several of them was, no lender has ever offered to grow my business, right? And I like the analogy Mike used, is they're used to being mama bird and they got one worm and they're trying to figure out how they feed all these little baby birds. And I'm not a baby bird. I'm another bird bringing them worms, And so I think it just transformed the conversation. And I met with one realtor yesterday. We put a plan in place of, she didn't even know how many people were in her database, which shocked me. Like, I don't even really have a database. I don't even have a CRM. So we're working on gathering up those names and coming up with a plan to introduce me to all of them. So.
Well, thanks, Dean. It's just, so if we're going to kind of boil that down, it's just very purposely going in. What's the intentionality with every meeting that you have? Even with a new lead to buy a home, what's the intentionality? Is the intentionality to have a commitment to use you for the mortgage? Yeah, that's great. But could it even be something different? And a lot of you have heard me talk about, will you trust me to help you on your lifetime goals of generational wealth through real estate? And will you trust me on this transaction, right? Something greater. That it just changes the dynamic and it makes it easier, right, Dean? And what you saw, it made it a lot easier to go to them and say, can I have a meeting? Because if you would have just presented like you had in the past and then said, hey, I'd like to meet with you, like another baby bird, mouth open, leave me alone.
And then
Inappropriate time, awkward, just go away.
The last 2 times I've done this, that's exactly what's happened. I think, because I had this great session that they got a lot of value out. When I follow up, I thought, absolutely, they're going to want to meet with me. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm busy, So it changed that dynamic. And the title company asked me to do another presentation for another group of realtors. And I don't know if it was because I set it up that way and I presented it in a way that I'm going to help realtors grow their business, but that was the other thing that came out of this.
Yeah, so those are the things that I want everyone to just kind of remember as you go about the intentionality and how do you set it up? And every time you have one of those meetings that's uncompleted, you need to be sitting back and thinking, did I get exactly what I intended to get? And if the commitment was different or I didn't get what I intended to get, why? What went sideways in that conversation, right? If I, looks like Ryan dropped, but I'd love to sit down and go, okay, well, we had a couple of contracts that we lost and they went somewhere else. Why? Well, why is because somewhere in that meeting, the commitment or the intentionality that we had wasn't committed to, and somehow we lost that to better price, better different something, right? I don't know what it was. So we just need to kind of be thinking about that and really work through your scripting on it until it becomes second nature. And I don't know if you did this, but Dave, you sent out those NAR statistics. I would use those. They're from their group. And it's such a powerful message. If I was talking to you, Dave, I'd be like, Dave, it's kind of funny. I read the NAR statistics. 88% of the people, they love you. They love the 5-star experience you gave them. They think you're amazing. And almost 3/4 of them don't go back through you for the next transaction. That's a shame, man. That's a tragedy of epic proportions, man. Like, you work so hard and then that happens. So my job is to figure out how to prevent that, how to slow that. Because if I could even take that from 72% don't use you to down to 30%, that's doubling your repeat business. That's my goal. How do I go about doing that? Right. And it's about being in front of them. It's about providing long-term value. It's about creating this generational wealth trust vehicle and this journey that we're on together so that they're thinking of us, you and I, because you're on as part of that joint marketing, more than just next time they're thinking of getting house. Because if that's 7 years from now, they forget. They forgot who your name was. They forgot my name. They forget everything. That's my job, right? And so if we can get really into that picture of what is it that I'm trying to get, going back, tying back into this, I think that we're going to be way more successful. What am I trying to get out of this conversation? And if I can't get that, what else can I get? You've seen your kids do that, right? It's like, hey, can I play on my, Xbox for 2 hours? No. 1 hour? No. 30 minutes, right? They know what to do. How is it that we've lost that? Right? We should have, what is our second? If I can't get this, I'm going to get something out of you. And as an originator, when I met with someone, I always went in with that mentality. I went in with a mentality of, yeah, I'm not just somebody asking for business. There's a value in working with me, and there's a powerful value. And you should be lucky that I'm willing to work with you. I would never say that, but just it's an air of mentality of I'm providing value, and I'm not just here squawking, asking for that worm, right? And I always went in with, I'm going to get something out of you. I don't know what it is yet, but it's something. And I always went in when I went to a realtor meeting, it was, of course, I want your business. Then it was, if I can't get that because you're using Giuseppe and he saved your life 4 times, and like, I get it. But then I would be like, okay, then I want dead leads. I want database. I want your cash buyers. I want something. And if there's not even that, at the very least, I would always go in and say, can I add you to my weekly newsletter that just talks about things happening in the market, products that you may not be aware of, ways to increase your business, and will you a couple of times a year just give me feedback on which ones were most impactful, right? At least I'm going to get that. And people would laugh at me all the time, like, man, I don't know why you waste your time with sending out this information, following up with realtors who said they were never going to use you. And I will go back to one that I dealt with. I didn't ever get business from her, but she probably referred me 7 realtors over the course of my career. Good enough, right? So that worked for me. And I created the intentionality of those types of things. And I would say, after I started sending this and I follow up and she's like, well, this was good and this was good. And I'm like, you still appreciate receiving these? Yes. I'm like, would you say and believe that I am really good at follow-up and doing what I say I'm going to do? She's like, yep. I can't believe you do this stuff and we don't even do business. I'm like, would you do me a favor? The next time you hear an agent anywhere in your office saying, so-and-so got too busy, or I can't hear back from them, they're frustrated, will you give them my name and just say, you should call this guy, he's amazing at that? Yes. Great. She did about 7 times over a course of 15 years. So Is it huge? No, but I mean, 7 realtors, and if each one of those gave me a deal a month over a number of years, I mean, it was a pretty good effort. So anyway, pause for a second. Any feedback or thoughts, or, I mean, you guys are in the trenches, you're the experts. Tell me what you're thinking.
I like the little asks. Like, okay, going in thinking I'm gonna get a big commitment from them, but if not, will you at least subscribe to my newsletter? Feels like a good backup, or will you at least put my name out for people who are in a lender relationship that they're dropping the ball? So not being so dead set on I have to come out of this meeting with a new relationship commitment takes a lot of pressure off, but knowing what are some secondary goals that I can accomplish.
Yeah, Jonathan, for you, I want you to very much hone in on the first goal and not the second goals. Because the tendency is sometimes when we get scared and have the scarcity mindset of business, we'll jump right to the easy goal. Don't jump to the easy goal, my brother. You gotta start with a bigger one. And make sure that you're focusing on your scripting too, because it's not, will you at least do this? Like, I'm not guilting somebody into it and anything else. It's like, I understand that you might not see the value of what a partnership with me looks like today, and that's okay, because I truly believe that in the future you will. In the meantime, some of the evidences I could give you would be this and this. Will you do this? Will you do that? You see how different that sounds? Would you at least give me this? Like, that sounded to me like a little squawking bird. It's like, well, at least give me a piece of your, like, no.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
I was thinking the same thing. I was going to say, like there's a fine line, and it's all scripting between being okay with that and like sounding desperate, right? Because then they're like, saying, will you at least subscribe to my newsletter? It's like, yeah, okay, another email I'm going to delete every week, auto delete. So like you don't want it to sound like that.
For sure. And that's why I'd be like, yeah, I can see that you're struggling with understanding what the value of a partnership with me looks like to our joint business today. But that's okay, because I'm still going to be here and I'm going to win you over time.
That's good
So
feedback.
in the
Thank you.
meantime, let's go to these next steps, right? Sounds a lot better.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just like the mindset shift of confidence, right? I'm anxious to listen to the Ryan Grant's little podcast because yeah, I kind of feel like that. I'm like, yeah, like feel like I lost my mojo. I talked to Mike about this yesterday. Like confidence is down. It's like, the market's completely different than it was, pre-COVID, right? So, but yeah, in the mind.
Poor Hobber. I made him go through a therapy session so we could truly get to the, why you, right?
Yeah,
You've lost that identity, and when we take the time, you can go back like, no, I know why me.
Yeah.
Like share that, make that connection. There has to be a connection different than just I'm a loan officer and I'm good. And I always stump everybody. I use you, Giuseppe. I'm like, so Chris, why you? And you're going up against Giuseppe in your same office with all the same guarantees and everything else. Why you? He's like, dude, I don't know. Giuseppe's really awesome. And that's what everybody says. I'm like, yeah, but that's what it is, right? You have to create
You
a
should
personal
just work with
relationship.
Giuseppe. I can't do it.
I give up. Yeah, just use Giuseppe. Everyone refer business there. But there has to be a why you. And when I go through those quote unquote therapy sessions, we're able to unlock and kind of remind ourselves of, yeah, why me? There's a great value in why they have a relationship with each one of you, whatever that may be. It could be different. And that's what it is, right? Every realtor relationship, every client relationship is a relationship, just like it is with your spouse, right? Or your significant other or whatever it may be. There's a reason that you got together. You created forgive me for going into this, but you created, in a way, a sales pitch that resonated with them, right? And there was a set of expectations that you have to continue to deliver if you want to continue to foster that relationship. And if you forget who you are and you forget what attracted you together and you forget to deliver all of those things, that relationship will go stale and die, right? And it's really no different. What is it? Why you? And how do you constantly remind everybody about what the value of you is, so that they really don't think that I can just go to the next Burger King and get a different burger then? Because they have to understand they're missing out on dealing with you, Hobber, because you're awesome. And your why is pretty powerful when you get into it and remember it. So
Think of as we're talking, think of what a CPA who does taxes every year and a financial advisor has to do to win over a client, because none of them have anything different than any of the other ones have. They're all the same. I mean, nobody's going to sell Apple stock for me at a discount because, hey, we got Apple stock, we get it for you a little cheaper. It's like, no, you can't do that. And so think about think about how you've chosen the professionals that you work with. Why did you choose them? It's a really good thought. Like, well, because I trust them, right? You wouldn't use them if you didn't trust them, right? You have to like them and you have to trust them. And I think asking yourself that question is such a powerful thought process of why you. And it's interesting, Hobber, you closed 80 loans last year. This isn't like you barely made it through the year here. You closed 80 transactions and
Yeah, but
and
the
somebody is
machine doubled me. It pissed me off.
well, but somebody as gifted as you are at doing mortgages has that identity crisis, then everybody has it, right? And everybody could benefit from taking the time to figure the answer to that question out, so that so you do have all the confidence when you are talking to these when you get these opportunities and put them in front of you. It's a big deal.
Right, on that confidence,
machine.
Hobber said this just a minute ago, right? The market isn't the same as it was pre-COVID. Yeah, while that may be true, in the Dan Rowich interview with David Savage the other day, he had a slide showing that the projected volume for 2025 is going to be the same as it was in 2019. Right, so there's still those deals out there. Sure, our home value's higher. Yeah, that's going to contribute to it. But when you look at half the loan officers not renewing their license, have some confidence in knowing that the numbers are still going to be there. The opportunities are there to go get.
for sure. And you have to remember, I love, Dave, that you brought up kind of, like a financial advisor or something like that. Remember that the reason people use you is same reason they'll stop using you, right? Financial advisor. If I went with you because you promised me a better return than my existing financial advisor, they're not supposed to do that. But let's say they did that. Well, I'm going to leave you when somebody else promises me something even better than them. If your fee's 1.25% instead of 1.5%, then I'm going to leave when somebody has 1%, right? But if I use you because I believe that my hopes and dreams are your hopes and dreams, and you're going to help me achieve that, I don't leave. We're not any different. Our whys and that personal connection is what will make things stick.
Powerful.
Yeah, part of what Ryan was talking about was that, for those of us that have been doing it for longer is, I mean, when did you start, Chris, as an LO?
11?
Summer of 11, yeah.
Okay.
Like May of 11.
Okay, so that's like the perfect date because, 2008, 9, 10 were really hard, right? There was the housing recession, and we had to be really good at motivating buyers, just like now that buying is good. Even though everything they saw in the news was like, yeah, I'm going to put down 3% and, values are dropping 10%. So I'm going to be underwater. Like, why is it a good idea? So like those were really hard years, kind of like the last 3 years have been really hard. But then for someone that started in like 2011, I think that's the date that Ryan gives too, in the interview, like from 2011 to 2020, like all of our businesses pretty much, increased, maybe even doubled year after year after year because rates kept moving lower, right? And it's easy for buyers to want to move up when they're selling a house at a 4% rate and they can buy a new house at a 3% rate, right? So it's just a harder period right now, but like Casey said, there's so many people that are not renewing their licenses, and there's still going to be all the opportunities there. So we should have to meet more realtors, all of us, constantly.
Well, to your point, this is the point of this year's focus is how can you expand that database? And so my challenge for all of you for next week is to come back here next week and tell us exactly how many clients are in your database, past, future, present, doesn't matter. How many do you have? And also, how many real estate agents are you communicating with in that database? Let's get the total on a piece of paper so that we have a number that what's the benchmark today? And then what's the growth factor as we go forward? Because that's going to be something that you're focusing on. Let's see what we can do with that. Lori, for you, it's going to be realtors and financial advisors. How many
We want to
more
focus on
financial advisors can
specifically
you get into
past
that?
clients. Is that specifically past clients or your actual database?
All client, just the whole list,
Okay.
just the whole list. How many people are in there that you're communicating with? Take out the people that you're like, do not contact. In fact, most of those got deleted, I think, right? So when we did the transfer, you guys made the decision like, yeah, if I got a do not contact ever again, I don't need to count it. So just get rid of it. There was a reason you made that choice.
I've been using like my birthday calls now to really clean up now that we can delete clients and delete records. Obviously, you got to be careful with that. I don't know if we can get it back if you accidentally delete the wrong one, but like half the birthdays, if there's 25 birthday calls, maybe like 7 are like people that are just the name in there and like do not contact. So I'm just deleting them. So just cleaning up the database. Like I don't need to call someone who doesn't even know who I am, or send them a text or an email or whatever. So it's really nice that we can do that now. I think it's going to help us. Now, to get to Dave's ask, how do we calculate who's in there? Like, is there a button? I'm
I
sure
thought you would tell me. I thought
Ashley
you would
can
tell me
push a
that
button
question.
and say you have this many people.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I don't know what the answer is. Let's find out.
Yeah.
Export it to Excel. Count the rows.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can go to reports and then do all contacts, and then you can export to Excel. Or you can like filter like all added this week, I guess, if you wanted to.
Almost
Awesome.
10 o'clock.
Well, yep. Appreciate everybody. I got a hard stop. I've got another meeting that starts in
Thanks,
a minute.
Mike.
So appreciate you guys. Get out there and kick ass.
All right, dude. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Thanks, Mike.
Everybody, we'll get this recording out so that you have what Kelly talked about, plus the other things that were covered here. I think this was a good call. Focus on that energy, like that video that I sent out. I know that was kind of cute and funny, but that's a big deal. Your energy that you bring to this every day impacts so much on how you perform. So anything that you can do, I find myself, I struggle with this all the time. So it's about having the most positive energy that you can all the time, high energy, every interaction. So it impacts everything. So focus on that. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the day. Have a great day.